In 1921, in the heart of America, a city within a city thrived. A place where wealth was built, where dreams were alive, and where freedom felt possible for some. But within 24 hours, it would vanish. Not from an earthquake, not from war, but from something far darker. This was Greenwood. They called it Black Wall Street, the richest black community in America. Elegant theaters lined the streets. Banks flourished, stores bustled with business. People dressed in their finest on Sundays, not to show off, but because dignity was their armor. It was a neighborhood that proved the American dream could belong to everyone. And that terrified some people. In a world where segregation ruled and racism was law, Greenwood's success was not celebrated by all. It was envied, it was resented, and for some, it was a threat that could not be ignored. Then, on May 30th, 1921, one moment lit the fuse. A young black man named Dick Rowland stepped into an elevator. Inside was a white elevator operator, Sarah Page. What happened in that small space is still debated. Some say he tripped, some say they exchanged only a glance. But in a single day, whispers became headlines, and headlines became hate. The Tulsa Tribune printed a story that fanned the flames. By evening, a white mob gathered outside the courthouse, demanding Rowland's lynching. Inside Greenwood, news spread. This wasn't the first time an accusation like this had ended in blood. Armed men, many of them veterans who had fought for their country overseas, marched to protect Rowland from the noose. They met the mob head-on. Tension thickened in the air. One shove, one sound, a single gunshot shattered the night. What followed wasn't chaos, it was a hunt. White mobs poured into Greenwood. They smashed windows, looted stores, set buildings ablaze. Families fled as gunfire ripped through the streets, and then the skies roared. Witnesses swore they saw airplanes overhead, dropping burning turpentine bombs onto homes. Greenwood wasn't just burning from the ground, it was being bombed from above. By the next morning, the neighborhood was gone. Over 1,200 homes and businesses reduced to ash, entire families erased. The death toll, officially around 36, but survivors spoke of hundreds, men, women, even children, buried in unmarked graves. But perhaps the most chilling part was what came after. The city didn't help rebuild. Insurance companies refused to pay. History books didn't tell the story. For decades, the massacre was called a riot, blamed on its own victims and buried in silence. Generations grew up never knowing it happened. And yet, Greenwood's people refused to disappear. Brick by brick they rebuilt, though they could never fully recover the wealth stolen overnight. Their children and grandchildren carried the memory, even when the world pretended nothing had happened. Now, a century later, the truth is emerging. Graves are being found. Survivor stories are being heard. And the question still hangs in the air. If an entire city could be erased from history once, could it happen again? Tulsa, 1921. Remember it, because forgetting is how it happens again.